Hello, welcome back to Geckoboard. Today I'm going to show you how you can build a Shopify dashboard inside Geckoboard. You might be used to seeing your store performance in Shopify, where there's a lot of different reports with a lot of different metrics in them. And are you even able to find the most important data that you need to act on? If you're sharing your dashboard with someone else, they might have even more trouble finding kind of the most important data that you want them to see. And especially if you have data in other sources, such as in a spreadsheet, you can't really bring this data into your Shopify dashboard. And Geckoboard solves all of this. Let's see how. So with Geckoboard, you can build a Shopify dashboard in minutes. Geckoboard is a tool that helps you create a professional-looking dashboard, combining data from many different sources, including Shopify, spreadsheets, Facebook ads, Google Analytics, any other source you might be using. Let's build a Shopify dashboard. We're going to start with a blank dashboard like this. I'm just going to rename it to my Shopify dashboard. And we're going to start by adding our first Shopify widget. When we select Shopify from the list of integrations, you can already see there's a lot of pre-built widgets that you can choose from. These should cover your most important metrics in the store. I'm going to start by adding today's orders. Then I'm going to enter the URL of my Shopify store. And I'm now connected. We can now see that Geckoboard is importing orders from the last 31 days. This initial import makes it faster to add widgets in the future. While that's importing, I'm going to add more Shopify widgets. So other than today's orders, we do also want to see today's sales for our store. I'm going to go ahead and add that one. So we have some key metrics on here already, and we can now just modify them a bit before we add more metrics. So with our orders today, one thing that's always useful is to compare to a previous period. So we can compare the number of orders to the same day last week. And we can see that we are 3 orders up on that. I'm just going to add a label so it's obvious what that comparison is referring to. And we can do the same with sales so that we can see if we are on track to exceed the amount from before. And again, we will add a label. And in fact, we are missing a date there. Cool. One last thing I'm going to do before we go on to add more widgets is I'm going to simplify this number formatting because it's a bit busy at the moment. So we're just going to make it straight up dollars. We're going to leave it. We can change the number of decimals it's showing as well to simplify it further. So let's do that as well. Cool. So let's continue adding widgets for a few more key use cases. So we have our average order value for past 7 days. Let's change this to a month so we can see for the whole month. I'm going to change the max amount to, let's say, $850. I don't think our average order value will go much higher than that. What we can do now is we can add some color to this widget to make it more obvious what is a good order value and what isn't. So I'm going to switch the warning and success in this dropdown. And that now allows me to set a warning that's below a certain number. So let's say we don't want the order value to be less than 500. Or actually, let's do $4.99. But it's good if it's above, let's say, 500. And now we can see that our average order value is in the green, which is good for us. And the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to clean up the number formatting again. And I'm also going to get rid of that decimal space that makes it look a bit busy. Let's see some trends in our data. It's always useful to see how our order volume or sales volume changes over time so that we can anticipate any problems. So I'm going to add our order volume. And before I do anything with that, I'm also going to add the sales volume. So our sales volume widget is again showing just past 7 days. I'm going to increase this to this month. And I'm going to add a comparison to last month. Unfortunately, when we connect our Shopify store, the data that is imported doesn't go back too far into the past. So we are missing some data here from the beginning of the previous month. But as time goes on, both lines will fill up. And so we'll have a better assessment of where we are versus the previous month. I will again just simplify that number formatting. And now we already have one widget on this board that is about total sales. So what we can do is we can group them. We can create a widget group, and then it's really obvious what these widgets are referring to. So we can call it total sales since that's our metric. And then we can just tweak these widgets. We can make them a bit smaller since they don't need to be so big. And then we're going to do the same with our orders. Again, we have our orders metric and orders volume. We're going to group those again. You can see how easy it is to group these. You can just click on them and drag them around. You can change the sizing kind of to fit how you want to see them. Now we're going to do orders. And again, we're just going to edit this widget to make sure that it's showing us this month. Where again, the current line is incomplete because obviously we are only partway into the current month. But we're going to add a comparison to last month where we can then see how the rest of the last month panned out and whether we are on track to do better or worse than that month. Cool. So let's look at what else we can add from our Shopify integration. So we also have fulfilled orders. I'm not going to add this metric because for this dashboard, I don't particularly care about tracking warehouse fulfillment, but you might want to do that. And then we have some sales reports. So my store does get some affiliate sales. So I'm going to add this sales by traffic referrer widget so that we can see which referrers are generating sales. So in this case, you can see that I'm seeing the number of, the amount of total sales and then the referrer on the left-hand side. I'm just going to increase this again to this month so that it matches the rest of my data. And we are going to tweak that number formatting again, just to simplify it. Sorry. So now we can see that most of our sales are not coming through a referrer, but then there are some that are. I'm going to continue adding a few more widgets. We have sales by discount, which isn't really relevant for my store, but it might be for yours. Let's do billing location. Because if we're selling in different markets, then it's useful to see how different markets are doing. So in this case, we can see my top 2 markets. And then one last widget that we'll add right now for Shopify. Sorry. One last widget that we'll add right now is, let's do orders by channel. So we can see where the majority of our orders are coming through. Cool, so that one. So we can see here, because I have a lot of channels, this particular metric will better fit a viz that can accommodate more text, which is the bar chart. Now we can see a lot better where those orders are coming through and how many. And we already have some widgets on our dashboard. Let's make them look a bit neater before we add any more metrics from other sources. So I'm just going to make these numbers slightly smaller so that my label shows up. And we can also make the group a little shorter. And what we can do then is just drag this sales widget over underneath. And then I'm going to do the same with our orders group. We can actually group our channels as well here. I'm just going to make it look a bit neater by making the numbers this more similar size. And so now we have our orders data. So our sales by traffic referral widget is quite dense. So I've moved it to the bottom of the dashboard. So it's not as prominent as some of our more important widgets. And we have our average order value. Cool. So now we've got a lot of data out of Shopify, but as I mentioned before, there is some data that we track in our spreadsheet, especially calculating our profit margin. So let's see how we can add that onto this dashboard as well. I'm going to go to add another widget. This time, we're going to choose our Spreadsheets integration. You can connect your Google Drive or any other cloud drive, which is the recommended flow. I'm going to just link to my file here really quick. My file is hosted in Google Sheets. My spreadsheet is an export of orders from Shopify, from which I've then calculated some key metrics like my gross profit, different costs, so that I could calculate my net profit and the net profit margin. And I also have a comparison to the previous month in here as well. So what we're going to do is let's start by just pulling out our net profit margin. So I'm going to select that number and I'm going to visualize it as a number. I'm going to click continue. And now on this, we can customize that widget a bit further so I can add a comparison to that previous month that I had in my sheet as well. So I'm going to select compare to, and now I'm going to select the number for August from my spreadsheet, and that's automatically going to calculate the comparison. In this case, it's good if it goes up, so I'm going to leave that as it is. And we're going to add it to the dashboard. I'm just going to label it net profit margin versus last month. And then we're going to add another Spreadsheets widget. In this case, the easiest thing to do is to just duplicate our existing widget, and then we're going to edit it to create a new widget from the same spreadsheet. So if we go back here, next step, we might want to visualize two other things. So one is our actual net profit for this month. So again, I'm just going to select that number. I'm going to continue to the next screen. And in this case, again, we can add a comparison to the previous month, which I have in my sheet. And so we can see it's up. And I can also tweak the number formatting to get rid of the decimal space because we don't have it on our other widgets. And this is our net profit. And we can, once again, just group these. And then the last widget I'm going to add is just a statement of my profit and loss last month. So again, I'm duplicating that widget, editing it. And now we can select the rest of our statement. And this time I want to see that as a table. I'm going to click continue here. So we can see that it's taking the first item as a header. So I'm just going to disable that because it isn't. And then our widget is added. Now this one is quite dense, but it is useful to have it here in case you need to refer to that profit loss information so that you don't have to go into Shopify. I'm just going to give it a name. And I've just realized we're going to tweak that number formatting. So we're going to change it to column 2 because the numbers are in our second column. And we're going to get rid of the decimals again. Okay. So looking at our dashboard now, it's still quite busy. Actually, I realized I care a lot more about seeing my profit margin information. So I'm going to drag the average order value down. And so now we have our net profit group. We can see that's doing a lot better this month. Now I have all of my key information on the dashboard. I'm just going to drag this average order value a bit down. I've realized that it's not as important. So what we can now see is we have all of our key metrics for our store visible in one place. So we have our sales data, our orders, net profit, profit and loss statement, and then we can also see some affiliate traffic. The last step is to choose how we want to share this information with others. One of our most popular options is to share your dashboard on a TV, in which case we can send it to a TV that everyone in the office sees. But we have other options as well. We can choose to create a sharing link for our dashboard that anyone can view. We can send the dashboard into a Slack channel, and so it's posted there every day or less regularly. And finally, I can invite some of my coworkers to have direct access to this dashboard to view it or edit it. I hope you found this useful. Please do let us know if you have any questions in the comments. Please do like and subscribe, and we hope to see you again soon.